Hey guys, it's Dan here. Today I'm very excited to reveal my plans for the upcoming 3.28 expansion. In case if you don't know, I have playtested it and it's just too insane, you know? And my favorite juicing strat is the new Rogue Exiles. So by default you have the regular Rogue Exiles, which reflects an average player, like my sister who used to be my brother. And that thing drops a few items as you've seen before, mostly trash. But with the new Rogue Exile Scarab, you get the uber version of it, which is basically Fubgun on steroids. And then you can make it a super uber Rogue Exile by adding Tormented Spirits into the map. And this thing stacks. The loot drops from these Exiles are going to be insane, man. The only problem is that you need a much stronger build than Fubgun in order to beat Fubgun on steroids. So now you might be asking, what kind of build can farm Fubgun on steroids? To answer that, this here is my build from the Keepers League, which has a mediocre 29.7 billion DPS. It's a bit expensive, by the way. And unfortunately, I was only ranked 2 in the DPS ladder. However, I'm sure if I can beat my brother on a PvP match with this, then 29 million DPS is quite okay to beat Fubgun on steroids. But this build is not for my league start, okay? The builds that I'm cooking right now is much weaker stuff, you know? Stuff that's uber cheap, but with decent damage. Well, my standard for a viable league starter is always a minimum of 100 million DPS, and it should cost less than 2 to 3 divines from day one. So you might be asking, but Dan, there is no such build on YouTube with that level of standard. So that's why I'm here. My builds are super uber cheap, and they can clear all Ubers in day one. You want to know my secret? Well, it's simple. I never look at YouTubers and Twitch streamers. They look at me. Do you want to know why? It's because I'm the best. For several years, my builds have been copied and cooked, especially my grandma's builds. And she plays hardcore SSF, you know? But I'm a very transparent person. You guys can feel free to look at my builds anytime you want. So the first build I want to worth mentioning is my Elemental Hit Slayer build. Whoa, wait, hold on. Before you guys say, oh, it doesn't work with that, or this was changed, or that was reverted, or that my sister is a transistor, I want you guys to just look at my build here and tell me if it's good enough for you. This thing right here is based on Trinity and Elemental Equilibrium. It's got nothing to do with the Breachlord Ascendancy. This is by far the most unique version of Elemental Hit that uses uber cheap uniques. But you still get around a decent 140 to 150 million DPs for 2 to 3 divines. Moreover, this skill has a decent clear speed, good enough to farm the new league mechanic, you know? And if you're still not satisfied enough, you can get billions and billions of DPs in my endgame version. You can even ask your favorite cat streamer, or anyone who played this in the Keepers League. It's quite underrated for the amount of scaling you get. I would highly recommend leveling with anything other than this skill, such as Sunder, Spectral Throw, or even a bow build to get there in the first place. Once you get that, then you are basically set for your endgame. So, I'm currently cooking on a cheaper version for you guys, a real build guide with POB that includes step-by-step leveling. It's all free as I'm doing it for charity, so don't worry about it. Under no circumstances do you level with Elemental Hit, okay? Unless you have all the unique items. Because that skill is pretty trash for leveling. Trust me. The next build I'm working on is my Poison Impending Doom Occultist. It's absolutely uber viable. Fully dot-capped, high clear speed, highly versatile, very strong defenses. You can farm almost all content that's available to play in 3.28, and that includes Ubers as well. It's very fun to play, quite smooth if you set up correctly. The only thing you need to find is the Foulborn Dodra's Scorn Helmet. Once you get that, it's extremely easy to level. The items are so cheap that even my grandma can afford it, and she plays hardcore SSF. You know what, I'm going to just throw it down in my comments section right now. It's just broken, man. It's just too OP for a league starter. The only problem is, it's not a beginner-friendly build. You need a proper written guide for this. Which is why today's video is sponsored by Epic POE Builds. With over 6,000 members, it's a group of passionate players like me who make the strongest endgame builds with very detailed written guides. And unlike sites like Maxroll, these guys also make secret farming strats which are only available to the paid members. This model is brilliant because, you know why? Because one, if only a few people play these strats, then they make more profit out of it. And two, most of these strats also include exploits, which is only visible to their paid members. And anything that's not public is hidden from GGG and their nerf hammers. This is all available to their basic tier, and if you upgrade your membership, you get to buy the builds that they play, which are the most powerful endgame builds. It will only cost you the divines it took to make them. They don't do any RMT stuff like other websites, you know. They are completely against any monetary transaction outside the membership fee, which is like the cheapest subscription fee on Twitch, all right? So the next build in my cooking jar is the Animate weapon of ranged arms Necromancer. Another witch build that's probably the comfiest minion build I've ever played in Path of Exile. The issue I have with melee minions is the clunkiness and the delays while you're mapping, you know. But this is one of the few minion builds that's great for both mapping and uber bossing. It's much faster than mages, golems, and even most specters. Once you set it up, it's just super comfy to play. You press Convocation every once in a while because these guys are pretty aggressive than any minion I've ever played. I prefer Poison variant because it's pretty easy to scale with the new Foulborn uniques, which are quite cheap to farm. Even the Trans Gem is quite cheap, you know? You just need to scale some minion damage, minion chaos damage, minion poison, minion attack speed, and some minion gem levels. So that's all there is to it. The next build is my Exsanguinate Reap Mine build. You can play this on a lot of classes, but I prefer the Trickster. Mines are an archetype that's enjoyed by a niche community of players. So be warned of that. If you don't enjoy the Trap and Mine playstyle, then this one is a pass for you. Usually Trap and Mine skills are best for just boss rushing, you know? But the Exsanguinate mines can clear Legion packs quite fast. You just spam a bunch of these, and the shiny tentacles will shatter everything around you. If you want shiny tentacles, you need to buy that MTX. Enough advertising for now. So for your single target, you want to use a high-level Reap Mines. This will shatter uber bosses if you put a decent currency into your build. For this, you need a Heat Shiver helmet and an Archon Tools, which drops from regular Incarnation of Neglect. Then you can use 2 Taming Rings to spice up your elemental damage. I think somebody on YouTube plays this every league. Some people just fall in love with my builds. Up next is my Kinetic Blast Necromancer with Cast on Crit Volatile Dead. I passed this build concept to my friends on Twitch, but only one of them took it seriously. An Asian American guy by the name Jungron expanded my concept quite well that it became one of the popular meta builds in 3.27. It's actually quite simple because the thing that made it viable was the new Necromancer's Corpse Pact node. You basically attack super fast with this, so you trigger balls more frequently. It's quite a fast-paced build with the only downside of poor visibility. You can barely see anything going on, but you don't have to, because these big balls will do your bidding just like summon raging spirits. So if you enjoy that playstyle, this one is worth a try. And yes, it's 100% league start viable. And as to my knowledge, there hasn't been any nerfs to this build in 3.28. It's pretty big balls of a build, seriously, and a lot of people enjoyed starting this. The last one on my test list is the Cyclone of Tumult Slayer build. Credits to my Russian friend who playtested it for me. This thing is a fast, spin-to-win Beyblade, man. You just press one button and move around while everything in your way gets deleted instantly. All you need is a bunch of trash stuff like Carnage Heart, and Abysses, and a Ryslatha's Coil. This thing uses Shockwave support, which was quite significantly buffed this league. They've also added an exceptional version called Void Shockwave support. And this looks like a thing which adds a few billion DPS to my build. So it's a pretty win-win for a spin-to-win build. The rare items are also quite cheap. You can just gamble and throw some implicits here and there. Then you can farm Ubers and Nightmare maps, and even Void maps, just in case if you want to farm some Mage Bloods. Don't worry about it, I've got it completely worked out right now. I do all this for charity. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button and wait. See you soon, my fellow Exiles.